Hello and welcome back to my channel. I apologize for my voice because I am a little bit sick right now, but hopefully it's not too annoying. Today we are making pretty much just a simple bandeau tube top type thing. However, I'm going to show a couple alternatives to make it suit your liking. So one of them is going to be just like adding straps. One of them is going to be making it like a front tie type thing. One of them is just going to be plain like tube top tie in the back, and the other one is going to like cinch in between the bust. So we're starting off with our materials. We have weight for acrylic yarn, scissors, a darning needle, but this time I have a 3.5mm hook. I just want the stitches to be a little bit closer together, even though this is weight for yarn still, because this might not be the type of top that you could wear some sort of thing under to like give you more coverage. So I want it to like act as that coverage itself. Okay, so the very first thing that we're going to do is extremely simple. We're going to start off making a slip knot and put our hook in. And then the only one that will make a difference for the size that you make this section is the one where it ties in the front. So if you're making that one, you want it to fit close enough that the tie is going to still give you enough coverage that you want. For the other ones, the back is going to be a little bit more open. It's just going to fit a little bit different because we're basically like putting the back in the front for this front tie one. But all we're going to do at first is make foundation half double crochets. So chain 2, yarn over, go into the side 2 loops of that first chain, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 1, and yarn over, pull through 3. There's your first one. And we're going to keep doing that, going into the 2 loops, pull through, go through 1, go through 3 for the whole row. And you want this row to match the width that you need it to be. So again, for the one with straps, for the plain one, and for the cinch in the front, they all can have a little bit more space in the back. Like you don't need to make this reach all the way around. In fact, you don't want it to. But for the front tie one, you want it to nearly reach all the way around. And so as you're crocheting, you're going to want to keep pausing and trying it on. So basically what you're going to do is hold it up at around the widest part of your bust section, because you want to make sure it is going to fit around that part. But basically you're just going to keep holding it up until you can tell that it fits, and that is where you're going to know you can end your row. And here at the end of my row, I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. And I'm going to be doing half double crochets into the back loop so that it gets a little bit more stretchy. And you could just go into both loops like normal. It won't make a difference in the pattern too much. It's really just going to make it like not as stretchy. So if you're going to go into both loops, you're yarning over, going under both loops right there. So you can see I have 2 loops on my hook, and then yarning over, pull through, yarning over, pull through 3. But what I'm going to do is yarn over and go in between those 2 loops so that I have only the back loop on my hook. And the way I know which one is the back loop is it's the one that's further away from me, because I'm crocheting with it facing me. This loop is still not on my hook, and this loop is, and that's the one that's further away. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through that 1 loop, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through 3. Showing you one more time, yarning over, go in between, grabbing that back loop, yarn over, pull through that 1, yarn over, pull through 3. And so we're just going to keep doing these half double crochets into the back loop for the rest of the row and until the top reaches the length that you want it to be. So you could make this essentially like a bralette where it's like just the size that a bralette would be, or you could make this longer where it's like a full length top that goes like all the way down to the edge, or you could get there somewhere in between and make it just cropped. It really is up to you how you want it to fit, but every row after this is going to look the exact same. Crocheting into the back loop if that's what you decide to do, or going into both loops, but I would recommend choosing one, not alternating or anything. Just choose whether you're going to do back loop or whether you're going to do both loops, and then stick with that throughout the top. Then at the end of the row, chaining 1, turning your work, and continuing that same thing, doing your half double crochets into the back loop or half double crochets into both loops, making sure that you're matching whatever choice you made in the last row. Okay, we finished the base, and again, this is the base for all versions of this top. So now what we're going to do is chain 1 and cut off our work. Pull it through. And the first alternative I'm going to show is the cinch in the front. So what we're going to do is make a slip knot and just do a ton of chains. So basically you have two ways to do this front tie. You can either have it go through the front and then just hang down as like a little bow or something on the bottom, or you could loop it up and then have it tie around your neck in a halter. So I will show both because you can do it with the same chains. Like honestly, when you stitch it through, you could wear it both ways, but I do just want to show both of them so that you understand that it's possible to do it both ways. But you just want to make sure if you do want it to be able to do the halter tie, it does need to be pretty long. If you're just having it tied at the bottom, it doesn't need to be as long, but either way, you're just making these chains. And as you're making these chains, you want to measure up like this. And so obviously this would work if I was just having it tied at the bottom, but this is not going to reach up to go all the way around my neck. So I'm going to make it a lot longer because I do want to be able to show that option. Okay, at the end you're going to chain 1 and cut off the chains, pull through, and now we're going to weave it through. So weaving it through is going to be the exact same for whichever way you're doing this because there's no technical top or bottom to this because it's all just those half double crochets. So We're going to start in this bottom corner, push through, and grab the chains and pull them through. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Pushing through, grabbing them, and pull through. Then we're going to weave them every couple of stitches. So we're going to skip this one and go into the next one. Pull it through. Skip one into the next. And repeating that all the way down. And then we're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. And now we are essentially done. So all we need to do is weave in these ends. For the chains, I'm just gonna make it tight and then cut off a little bit of the ways away, just because I don't feel like weaving in these ends. But for these ones, I will show you how to weave in ends. The easiest way to get the yarn over your needle is to lay it over the top, pinch it and slide it off, and then wiggle it through the eye of the needle. And then you're just going back and forth into the stitches. You want to go into the actual stitches too, out the side, and push it through. And then you can cut it off. Then I'm just going to do the same thing with the other one. But just make sure that you're not stitching into the chain. You want to stitch into the base of the top, keeping the chain separate. And then you can cut it off. Okay, and now we are done with this first alternative. Okay, so I did just go to try it on and I made it too small for me. So I'm only going to show like pretend trying it on because it's like literally covering nothing. If you are just a little bit more diligent than I am and actually like holding it up to yourself and making sure it fits, it'll work. I just like am so bad about actually holding it up. I'm just like, yeah, that looks good. And then I assume it'll fit and it usually doesn't. So for our next alternative, we are going to start from this spot where we have just the base, but what you're going to do is make a ton of chains first. Obviously I have these chains because I just made another alternative, but what you're going to do is make a slip knot, put your hook in, and just start making chains. And you can make this as long as you want it to be, but the whole point of this tie is that you're going to go back and forth in a crisscross pattern. So you do need it to be long enough to be able to like crisscross back and forth like that. And at the end of your chains, you're going to chain one and cut off your work just like you did at the end of the top. Once you get to this point where you have these chains, you're going to go into the top corner, hook them on and pull them through. Go into the next corner, pull it through, and it is kind of helpful to try and get them even at this point so you don't have to adjust it at the end, but it's not like crucial that you do that. What you want to do next though is cross them over and then go maybe 3 rows down. So find your top and go 1, 2, 3. Go from the bottom, grab the chains and pull them through. On the other side, same thing. 1, 2, 3 from the bottom and pull them through. Cross them over again and 3 down. 1, 2, 3. And on the other side, 1, 2, 3. And then crossing it over again. 3 down. Go through. Pull through. And then out through the bottom corner. Hooking it on, pulling it through, and your next corner. And there we go. We are completely done with our next alternative, and all you're going to need to do is weave in your ends, and you will be completely done. Okay, for our next alternative, we are actually going to be using the back part that we just did in our last alternative. So if you're going to add straps, watch the last section of this video, which probably is going to be called like alternative 2, so that you can add your back tie. And then we are also going to add straps. So what we're going to do is make sure it's centered. We're going to find the center and then we're going to go halfway in between to the side. So basically like 1/4 over. We're going to go in and tie on our yarn. And then we're going to start making chains. So I would go for 50 plus chains. At the end, you're going to chain 1 and cut off your chains. Pull it through, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side, finding our halfway point, putting our yarn on, and tying it, and then chaining 50, or more than 50, just matching whatever you have on the other side. Chaining 1 extra and cutting off our work, pulling it through. You could weave in your ends here, but I am just going to cut it off a little bit of a ways from the knot, since these are chains and they're not like really too important if they come apart. Whereas with the actual top, I did weave it in because I care about that enough. And there we go. We are done with our next alternative. And for our last alternative, again, you want to have already done the back tie, so skip back to alternative 2 if you haven't done that already, and you can add the straps if you want, but you don't need to. So you need to do the base and alternative 2, but you can choose whether or not you do alternative 3. What we're going to do is grab our yarn, put it on our needle, so laying it over the top, pinching it, sliding it off, and wiggling it through. And then you're going to want to find the middle, which is about right here, and you're going to decide how far down you want it. So I could definitely do the entire thing, but what I'm going to do is just take down the top a little bit, so it's kind of like that, if that makes any sense. So you're going to find that spot, you're going to put your yarn through, and you're just going to go straight through until the bottom of where you want it to be, and pull through. Then you're going to give yourself some extra yarn, but you're going to cut it off over here. Once you get to this point, you're going to loop through and push back again, making sure that you're not going through the exact same spot that you just went through, because then it'll just pull your yarn all the way out. You go back down to the bottom, pull it through, tighten it up. And I'm going to go a little bit further, go back to the top, bring it through, go over to the side a little bit, down, and pull it through, and then just pull it as tight as you want it to be. And then now, I'm going to loop my yarn around here and tie, and then I'm going to go back through to the inside of the top, and I'm going to tie it one more time just to make sure it's secure. Now we're going to weave it through a little bit, so just weaving it through, not all the way back down to the bottom, just as if you were weaving in an end. And now you can cut it off. And then with your other side, pulling it tight, you're going to tie it. And now we can cut it off. And there we go. Now it goes down a little bit in the front. And that is our last alternative. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm very curious to see which alternative people choose to make, or if it ends up being like a combination of something. So if you make one of these, please make sure to tag me. I would love to see it. If you have any questions, make sure to let me know down below and I will do my best to help. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time. Bye! And then